Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tom Kelly. I'm a stand-up comedian. My life is a mess, and I am cleaning it up. You are experiencing the Tom Kelly Show, Los Angeles edition. I'm driving in a rented Kia on the 101 in Los Angeles, California, and it is Sunday, I believe, June 19th. It's Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, everybody. I hope you had a barbecue with your friends and family. I guess a lot of you are getting the 3-day weekend. My company does not give off for Juneteenth my company does not give up for Juneteenth or Columbus Day, which means my company hates both blacks and Italians. So as an Irish Italian American, I am offended. Actually, they also don't give off for Indigenous Peoples Day, which is now the same day as Columbus Day in many cities. So I guess they also hate Native Americans. So yeah, take that, culture wars. So I've had a hell of a week. And you guys, I haven't really taken you on the true journey. Maybe you've been following it if you've been following my Instagram stories or whatnot. But this has been a week and a half of manifesting, if you will, positive thinking paying off. Basically, everything that has gone wrong with my trip has led to something magical. First, it is so great to be on a trip somewhere else. I feel young about comedy again. It's nice being in a new city. I mean, I really, despite having just spent 3 weeks in California, I have not experienced California. And even on this trip, I leave feeling like I need to experience more. I'm looking as I'm driving at dusk on the 101. I see mountains. Every new block is a new experience. Every new Starbucks you go into is a new experience. Every tree is a new experience. Every toilet I poop on is a new experience. That's the fun thing about travel. And as a stodgy Sicilian Irish man, I haven't really done much in the way of traveling. And what's fun is coming out to this comedy festival, it lit a fire under my ass to meet with old friends and try to make new ones. First, let's go backwards to the last episode of the Tom Kelly Show. A lot of you guys have been writing me and wondering what happened with my friend Caitlin O'Connell trying to set me up with CJ Franco. If you listen to the last episode of the Tom Kelly Show, and I forget what the numbers are, I kept it long, I kept it awkward on purpose. You heard me ask out the beautiful comedian CJ Franco, who our friend Diane from Canada says she looked like Catherine Zeta-Jones. And man, I'm happy to be her out of shape, less talented, less classy Michael Douglas. I think the only thing we might have in common is the age range. You saw what happened on the podcast. Asked her out to the Laugh, or I invited myself out with her to the Laugh Factory. And then we traded numbers off air. And when I say traded numbers, I kind of pulled teeth getting hers. And to be fair, we ambushed her on my podcast and she never texted me back. And being fair, people, I get it. So that said, I decided on Thursday to go. I fly into town on Wednesday, did a show at a bowling alley in the Simi Valley. The only comedian you might know of a name is John Cleese's daughter, Camilla Cleese, was on the podcast, on that show. And then what was really nice is one of the guys from the bowling alley show saw me there and would book me later. Hang on, that's an important detail. So CJ Franco told me where she was going to be on Thursday, but not what time. There are 2 shows at the world famous Laugh Factory at that point. One, a general house show, and the second one, I think it featured comedians from Tehran at 10 o'clock at night. I decided, you know what, I'm going to go to the 8 o'clock show. If she's there, she's there. At the very least, it's my starting point. By wacky coincidence, a very nice and smart and funny comedian, Matthew Broussard. Look him up on Instagram, a Monday Punday. Hilarious comic and a kind man. He happened to be on the 8 o'clock show. And so I sent him a note. I'm like, dude, I'm going to the 8 o'clock show. I'm probably not going to meet a girl, but I'll use you as my cover to hang out there. Or actually I decide, hey, I'm going to go see Matthew Broussard. We're going to have a good time. And long story short, I get to the Laugh Factory. I get a tour. They believe the Laugh Factory Comedy Club is haunted by either the ghost of the owner of the deli next door or Groucho Marx, because I guess Groucho Marx used to own the building. Whatever it is, beautiful club. And Matthew says, hey man, I need a ride to Hermosa Beach. There's a show on a rooftop. The booker saw you at a bowling alley in Simi Valley last night. Do you want to do it and drive me? And I say yes. Matthew, great guy to talk to. I feel like I've learned things about comedy and math and women's swimming. I'll explain all that another time, that I would never have learned had I not gone on a random drive with him. And then he used to live in LA, and he takes me to the world famous Comedy Store, which arguably right now is the most prestigious comedy club in the country. And you get there, and it's funny, people talk about the Comedy Cellar. The Comedy Cellar is a great club I'd love to be in too. And same with the Stand, a great club in New York that I'd love to be in too. Feel free to start annoying those comedy club bookers about me later. But the store is a scene. It just had an outdoor place. I'm meeting new comedians and new people left and right. And it was nice. I felt like I was a part of something. And then just another weird ending coincidence, I see another great comic, Nikki Paris, who was on the second show at the Laugh Factory. And I say to Nikki Paris, hey man, did you see, do you know this woman, CJ Franco, comic? And he's like, yeah, she's downstairs. And I'm hanging out with her. And anyway, I go down to meet her, and God bless, I missed her by 10 minutes. It wasn't meant to be. And the wisdom of my podcast this week is the wisdom of the podcast this week is every disaster I have had this week has turned into something magical. Now, I love the little beepers, by the way, that little beeping thing. I am an old lady. I am ready for turn signals with beepers for the rest of my life. Here we go. Yep, whatever you call them, proximity detectors. So, by the way, if I crash, this podcast will be subpoenaed as evidence. So, I got about 5 minutes left to podcast, at least until I get hit local traffic. So let's speed through this. The festival turned out to be a bit of a disappointment. I was booked on 2 shows, Friday and Saturday. The Friday night, 10 o'clock show, they put me up first for only 5 minutes. You got to realize, this comedy club slightly recruited me for this festival. They asked me to be a guest, and then they treated me like a tourist. And I'm not mad, actually, because they were the initial opportunity and cover and excuse to come to Los Angeles. You know, they were the excuse to get out here. So like for Friday night, the show was a bit of a disappointment, but I had gone to the world famous Improv Comedy Club right before that, bumped into David Spade, met the booker of the club, and got an email. And you know what I realized right now? And again, I'm learning about myself on this trip. I don't have a 5-minute tape that I want to send to anybody anymore. I have a tape of me doing stand-up on The View, and then I just realized that's from 2015. And then I just realized 2015 is 7 years ago, people. And even 7 years ago, a lot of the bookers weren't impressed that I was on The View for stand-up comedy. You know, Gilbert Gottfried had a joke, about a nice comedian who does comedy writing at The View. And Gottfried's very dry observation was, you don't think of The View when you think of comedy, but there is comedy there. So, and then on the 8 o'clock show, God bless, I had gone to dinner with my friend Jason Caparez, who says, quote unquote, Tom, I don't listen to the Tom Kelly Show podcast too often because when I do, I start to worry about you. And he's right. We're going to start transitioning to more fun, more punchlines, okay? Not today. It'll be a mix of heart, video blog, and punchlines. Later in the week.
2 miles, take exit 14
to
Laurel Canyon Boulevard towards Studio City.
2 minutes. All right, 2 minutes till we hit local roads. So let's get through this. Big disappointment on the damn podcast big disappointment with the comedy festival is Caroline Ray decides she wants to come and be a part of the festival and do some stand-up there. And listen, Caroline Ray is a brilliant comic. And the Comedy Chateau was lucky to get her. And they also overbooked this festival show. There had to be 20 to 25 comedians doing spots on this. And God bless me. I got bumped from the big room into the little room on the night that they had a good show. And my set became 5 minutes again. And I just... I decided I tried to negotiate with the owner of the club who just wasn't feeling it. And I had a moment of growth. I could have said F you. I did not. So I had a moment of growth. I wanted to instead of expressing my anger, I did the best set I could do. Nobody saw it. It didn't make any differences in the world. I did my 5-minute spot. It went fine. And I had a choice. I could hang around the comedy club and sulk, or I could go join my friend Jason Caparez for dinner. I basically texted my buddy. I'm like, dude, we were hanging out an hour ago. Are you still hanging out with your wife and your friend Jen? And he said yes. And I had a new experience. I also knew when to move away. I knew when I wasn't happy. I knew when things weren't working. I knew when to hold them. I knew when to fold them. And I didn't just fold them. I didn't just go into my depression. I did something new. You got to keep moving. And that's the growth on this one. And it's funny. I got some great wisdom from my friend Jason Caparez. He thinks I should be doing the podcast more often so I stay in everybody's listener queue. So maybe I'll start doing more and even shorter podcasts. I don't know. But I had a great time. And even right now, I could be just enjoying family time with my friend Paul. But I know that I may not have as much time to be able to go out again tomorrow. So I'm going to go to the Hollywood Improv and have a beer at the bar. Maybe I'll meet some people who are relevant to my comedy career. Maybe I won't. But the one thing I have right now when I'm out here in this new city is I have beginner energy again. And for those of you who've been following this podcast since the beginning, I've talked about experimenting. There's so many things I've done right. I've adapted. I've done whatever, but I haven't had beginner energy. And I don't know if it's Los Angeles or what, but I need to take this beginner energy back to New York, back to wherever I wind up going. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So it might be a waste of time, but I'm going to go hang out at a bar, meet some new people, be the new guy in town. And you know what? I could probably do the same damn thing close to home. Maybe it's just time to act like I just started in comedy 2 years ago and just create a big lie. We'll talk about that with somebody another time. Like maybe I should just say, hey, yeah, Tom Kelly just started comedy during the pandemic. I've only been doing it 2 years. If you want to be a new face, act like a new face. I don't know. But right now, people, thank you for sharing in the journey. If you like the shows with the guests, make sure you go on to their Instagrams, follow them, and tell them you enjoyed hearing them on the Tom Kelly Show. That's the ask for today. And thank you to everybody who joined me in the YouTube live yesterday. Marianne, Paul, CB Schwab. There was a new guy in there that I think Jacob brought in. Who else was in there? Anne and Marianne, and I'm missing somebody, but we'll be fine. And that's about it, friends. I'll slap this together into a podcast. And like I said, guaranteed shows Mondays and Wednesdays with surprises in between, not just here on the YouTube channel and podcast feed, but across the board on social media as Tom Kelly Show. And you know what, man? Let me get out of my comfort zone with you guys. I'm going to go into the Improv and have a drink. Oh, coming up later this week, a pre-recorded episode of the Tom Kelly Show with Steve Berger exploring the Sunrise Mall before it becomes a ghost mall and closes down. That's on the rundown. But right now, I'm going to get out of my comfort zone with you guys. I'm going into the Improv. Good night, Los Angeles.